somewhat of a sphere, a little bit elongated, and you can actually, oops, you could see that elongation right here in my skull. Look at that. Then let's go ahead and get that center line. That center line, I mean the brow line. The brow line goes right above the ear, right to the brow. So let's look carefully at this. And we're gonna put it in like this, like that, just like that. Now, she isn't quite looking exactly in profile. She's turned her head ever so slightly. So if we had a line that would kind of represent the very side of her face, let's go ahead and put that in. Lightly put in a center line on top of that. So I'm gonna come over here. Now, when I draw portraits, usually I go through a series of steps. And once I've established kind of the brow line, this is the line that goes through the brow, I figure out where the center line is. Okay, so I might come like this. She's probably the most famous person to sport a unibrow. Can you think of anyone else who sported a unibrow? I don't know. And she would very paint that in her painting. So it was pretty awesome. All right, temples, thank you. So I got my temples in, and then on the side of their head, you can see I've kind of made that the round side there. This is right here. Look, here are the temples, okay? And then you can kind of see that the round flat side of the head. And then once you get that flat side, I've kind of dropped in a straight line here, and you can kind of see that cross section. And then the ear usually will go in that bottom area right there. Okay, let's come down here to the bottom of her ear and get her jaw in. So her jaw will drop down straight like that. And then it's going to curve around. Let's do that. Drop down. A lot of times if you think the top of the ear will line up with the brow line, and then the bottom of the ear will line up with the bottom of the nose. And you can kind of see how those are working in that relationship. I'm going to go right about here. Maybe a little bit lower. Let's come up here now and get the glabella. And we're looking for the angle of her nose. And once again, you can see now, if I look carefully at her nose, it is rather large compared to her nostril. I know, so often when I'm drawing people, I'm starting to see like, okay, right behind the nose, you're going to have this area of the mouth. This is the ball of the mouth. All right, so we're going to come around like this. And we get into the chin. Let's get the area for the eye sockets, the eyes. So we'll come in like this, and then this gives way. That gives way for the cheekbones. So what will happen is you could have the back of the skull, the bottom of the ears, the cheekbone, and then the bottom of the nose. That's these four things line up quite nicely. Okay, back of nostril lines up right with the tear duct. If you're thinking of the eyeball like this, and then the eyelid will wrap around it like that. You see that? Wrap around it. Feel that roundness there. That upper eyelid sits on top of the lower eyelid. And then we see her pupil on the other side, just kind of creeping over the nose there. And then the upper eyelid wrapping around it. Let's get the eyelid on the other side. To get your proportions right, I have 4 tools that I like to use. And these come into play really helpful, especially when you're drawing portraits. And they are using vertical lines, horizontal lines, negative space, and cartoon check. So how can I implement one of these right now? Well, I'm going to use cartoon check. That means I look at the picture, then I look at my drawing. I look at the picture and I look at my drawing. And what I'm concerned about right now in my drawing is I'm looking at the distance from underneath the nose to where her chin is. And if I look at the picture and I'm jumping over to my drawing, I think mine might be a little bit too I think it might be too long. Okay, that's what I can see in mine. Now yours might be different. So this is when we would want to, you want to make these adjustments as you go along to make it a little bit more accurate. So I think I have brought my chin too low here. So let me come in here and make a slight adjustment. All right, I'm going to go with that right there. That looks a little bit better to me. Okay, let's go ahead and get these lips in. Now, one thing we want to do is we want to create the curve of the mouth. So the ball of the mouth. See, if I hold this onto the side here, look at the ball of the mouth. When we're drawing, it's so important to draw the underlying construction and then draw things on top of that. Focus on construction and the lightness will take care of itself. That's what you should aim for when you're drawing portraits. Think about what's the underlying structure. Very carefully at is what's the distance from right here underneath her nostril, right there, to the corner of her mouth. The other thing too is the corner of the mouth will oftentimes line up with the pupil of the eye. When you go to draw lips, you always want to start with the center. Get that V. Now this is lips looking straight at you here. So I like to establish where that center line is and where the corners of the mouth are. Those are my first 2 things. So we've got the corner. And since she's a little 3/4, so the center line for her lips is going to be just about there, I believe. Here's the V. Let's bring this in now. This is almost like coming in straight here. Now look at this bottom lip. Bottom lip is tucking out here. Look at that. Now that we've got that, I could be a little bit more accurate with my jaw coming in just a bit. Let's get this pupil in place here. Let's get these eyebrows in. So be very careful of the negative space between the eyebrow and the top of the eye. So let's see here. We're going to start. I'm really kind of looking carefully at this. Okay, bottom of the nose. Let's add some shadow here. And just come in here with an even value. Don't go too dark on me yet, but just come in here with an even value. And then if you look closely, it's going to get a little bit darker right in here. Then it's going to have a cast shadow underneath. Look at the shape of these shadows, and this gets pretty dark. Let's go ahead and also get this shadow underneath her lower lip. This is not nearly as dark as the shadow underneath her nose. She also has a shadow right here on the inner part of her eye. Now this shadow here typically is one of the darker shadows. It's one of the deeper areas in the eyes. So it's something to watch out for. So let's put a little bit of tone in the side of her nose here. Just a little bit, not a lot. This shadow coming from the side of her eye and right here at her temple. And you have the shadow underneath her eye. Remember that her eye, she has her eyeball here. And so this eyelid, as it comes underneath her eyeball, this is going to be in shadow just a little bit underneath here. So we definitely want to add that. All right, let's come around here now and trace the sides of the shadow on her face here. And let's see, what are we doing? We're going to be coming around like this. This right there, you see this? This is a core shadow, meaning that you have light that's coming from behind, bouncing off her shoulder and hitting the underside of her neck there. And then you've got light coming in from this angle here. So what we're going to want to do is come in here to this edge. And that's also, that same value is happening up here on our temple. So let's match that value. Look at this neck here. Where is it? All right. It's pointing right up to the corner of her mouth. And that's pointing to the back of her ear there. You see that? Coming in like that. Coming in like that. There's light toward the back, so let's start with an even tone across the whole neck there. And then this is dark. This is the same value. Oh, this is even darker than the core shadow. Let's get this ear in place. Now I can kind of go in here and say, where are my darkest darks? Just adding a little more value into certain little areas that seem to pop out to me. All right, let's get in her hair here. Hey, it's Kurt. Hey, I sped this section of the video up to kind of quickly bring this to a close. If you do want to see the full-length section of drawing hair for this portrait, just click the card right above me here, and I've got a second video for that. But make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.